Skibidi Toilet. Oh, how many memories this phrase brings back. Drama, conflicts, crazy people, kids content, and so much more. My channel didn't miss out on this series either, and despite repeatedly stating that I'm not a cent YouTuber at all, somehow my audience is more than half made up of viewers of this series. Almost a year ago, I released a video where I talked about this series and argued why I consider it good. However, a lot has changed since then. Many content creators have left, and the author himself literally gave up on his creation and turned it into this. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In this video, we'll look at the entire situation happening with this series right now. We'll try to figure out what led to this. And of course, we'll find out why Skibidi Toilet is dying. Well, as you remember, my previous video ended with the phrase, Skibidi Toilet is a good series because it's a unique work that had no analogs for a long time. Who would have thought that in just 10 months I would completely change my opinion? Let's start by looking at what happened after my video. After, pay attention, 3 months, episode 78 comes out, and it's just the peak of the Fuchs creativity. Particles, animation, rendering, models, everything is simply at the highest level. And also Dwight from DPB. The episode turned out great, but I didn't just say it was the peak for nothing, because after a peak, there's always a decline. Just a month later, thank goodness not 5, the first part of episode 79 comes out, and things aren't as cool anymore. And no, don't think that the first part, however crappy it might seem, still looks pretty decent, but the problems start with the second part. Let's start with the fact that almost the entire first minute of the episode is just a fragment from the previous one. Second, this is just the dumbest character waste in the history of all cinema. And after Doomer starts rushing the base, the episode turns from Skibidi Toilets into fucking Subway Surfers. But even that's not the main complaint about this part. The main one was that it turned out not to be the last. And now you'll understand why. So, the third part. What could go wrong? Literally everything. Let's start with the render. Even when I was streaming Bad Wars in 23, my bitrate was higher. No, but how? Just look at this. It really hurts to see this. Second, the sound. I don't know what kind of monkey you need to be to screw up all the sounds like this, but apparently it is what it is. Third, the maximally stupid scene with searching for tracking devices. Good God, I feel like I'm not watching a series with millions of views, but some streamer playing another horror game. And finally, when they show us the final scene, we see, oh God, please delete my internet. So then, a week later, the full episode comes out, which not only doesn't fix all the mistakes of the third part, but adds new ones that weren't in it before. Again, I don't know if Dafuk was responsible for this or if other people were already doing it. But to screw up the transitions like this, you need to be either Ivan Zola or me. Another moment I didn't notice when writing the script. They completely screwed up 4K and rendered everything in full HD. And they also screwed up 60 FPS. What you're seeing on screen right now isn't a recording issue. That's exactly how the episode was uploaded. If only the problem was just with this episode. But no, it's all just beginning. On October 23rd, a post appears on the channel before the fact boom. Quote, more than 2 years later, this series has grown into a universe much larger than I could have ever imagined. Now, together with my partners at Invisible Narratives, I'm moving into the role of executive producer and working with a full creative team to take the series to the next level. I've been working with Invisible since the beginning, and they truly understand what Skibidi is and why people have become attached to it. These are the same people who created franchises like Transformers, and they've always supported the essence of what makes Skibidi what it is. 3 days later, we found out what this message was really about. First, it's worth mentioning that a few days before the episode drop, a mysterious stream appeared on DayFO, channel that seemed to show locations from previous episodes from the perspective of security cameras. Then a timer appeared, counting down to something. Fans didn't have to wonder long what it could be, because on October 26th, everything fell into place. Skibidi Toilet Emergence starts with just the coolest opening moment, which could have been the only good moment in this series, but even here, the creators managed to screw up. As we remember, the song infects people, which is exactly why in episode 73 people were wearing headphones. What do we hear here? If I hear the song, I should cover my ears. She was covering her ears. You're my little bunny. These stupid people didn't think to cover their ears at the right moment. And so they got infected. Later, we learn that the girl was born after the toilet invasion. Although we saw with our own eyes how in season 25, Cheryl was looking for her sister and showed a photo from before the series events where she was exactly the same age. However, even despite the fact that there are errors here, this is still the best moment of the episode because that was just the introduction. We're watching the episode from the speaker man's perspective and oh my God, there's so much crap here. Why does the animation look like some brain rot content on YouTube? And what's up with the models? Did they just pull their damn toy models out of Blender and shove them into the series? And what's with the field of view? How many degrees is this? And what clumsy idiot thought to make transitions through glitches? Was this episode edited in CapCut? All right, okay, but it can't all be that bad. Let's forgive them for being too lazy to animate action moments and just making a black screen. Let's forgive them for the crooked placement of models in the TV scene. I'm even ready to forgive that, remember, in a Hollywood project models clip through textures, and particles are downloaded from the first random site from some random Indian guy. Well, you know, Skibidi Toilet is still a small startup from beginning creator, and we have plenty of examples of cool works with bad animation. Okay, let's look at the plot. So Lucky is some kind of key to that secret weapon that will change everything. How do we find out about this? Afuk talks about it through all the TVs in Alpha Hills. Well, like, this is so stupid, it's even funny. We've been shown multiple times that he could easily take specific agents, knock out their recording and talk to them directly. And now please pay attention to the detective's gun. And now look at how hard it was to deal with one Astro in episode 76. And now in Emergence. Yes, the guy's literally got a debuff prescribed and it seems like nobody cares anymore. And there are plenty of such plot holes in this episode. It literally consists of them. And of course, at the end of the episode, they show us toy advertisements. How sweet. You see, if this were the beginning of some random fan-made content, everyone would just ignore it. But this is an official episode. It was released on the official channel, and showing viewers such blatant, unfiltered garbage is just disgraceful. Do you think the circus ended there? I feel sorry for you, friends. Attention, please. A compilation of all episodes from the 1st to the 38th. How did it...
It starts with why. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try.
Damn, jokes aside. But when I was trying to make fan-made content 2 years ago, I also made titles like, This is the End. There's no way out how it all began. The compilation itself doesn't represent anything special, except I was surprised that at least here the editor managed not to screw up the transitions. Oh, and there was also a short released the same day retelling the plot with errors, but who cares, God? And the Emergence trailer, made just as sloppily as the first episode. What concerns me, and I think many of you too, is how the hell did he allow such a thing? How did a person who literally rejected his assistant's work because he understood it wasn't up to standards allow such content to appear on his channel? To figure this out, we need to go back in time. And believe me, everything there is much more complicated than it might seem at first glance. So, October 2023, the Fook Boom signs a contract with some invisible narratives, and they start producing toys based on toilets. I'm not an expert, of course, but does it seem to me alone that these toys were mediocre? Later, already in 2024, information appears that Michael Bay himself is working on a Skibidi Toilet movie. For everyone in the fandom, this was such an important event. The director of Transformers working on a Scent movie, isn't that a fairy tale? Even such serious people as Michael Bay speak positively about this creation. As a result, we see news that the director of Transformers is working on a full-fledged Skibidi Toilet movie, and that means something. As you might have guessed, for the Fook Boom himself, this also became a decisive reason to sign the contract. It's also worth noting that exactly during that time period, some Russian mafia threatened to take down the Fox channel with fake strikes, and signing the contract provided some security. So everyone talked about the movie for a month and somehow forgot. Episodes continued to be released, and invisible narratives were busy with their inferior toys and didn't particularly stand out. The first warning signs began about 6 months ago when Dafuk started complaining that he wasn't participating in the movie creation and wasn't receiving any information about it. In response to this, Michael Bay made a statement that he was working on the movie and currently thinking about how exactly to expand this universe. Also, as you might know, at that time, there was a scandal in Hollywood related to the use of neural networks in one of the films. And Michael, mocking this situation, released a teaser made by neural networks. Since when did Hollywood become so low quality? And again, silence for 6 months. And suddenly, somehow all these strange statements from Boom started appearing. Toy advertising at the end of episodes and so on. Even then, people thought something was wrong here, but they couldn't prove it. And finally, that very first episode of Emergence comes out and the puzzle starts coming together. Some fans found hints in the last episode made by Boom that he can't say anything because of his contract with the Invisibles. And here, the community split into two camps. Some considered it the ravings of a madman, while others believed it. I belong to the second camp. Knowing how Boom likes to make such hints, you can quite expect this from him. It's also worth noting that when all this uproar began, Dafuk didn't make a single public statement. The only thing we have is a couple of email responses where he very vaguely talks about having a difficult situation. And also hints that he can't talk about it normally. Then the compilation and trailer come out, followed by silence again. Fans launched the hashtag #BringBoomBack because based on everything discussed earlier, one can conclude that Dave Fuke simply had his channel hijacked for some contract violation. But I'm talking about true fans because there's another side of the coin. Those very legends of the fandom who considered themselves true fans and talked about the series having a bright future, at the first opportunity, like rats fleeing a sinking ship, started leaving the fandom for completely different reasons. Many are already talking about some death of the fandom, but I think this is just its beginning. Getting back to the point, of course, I don't have the actual contract before the Invis takeover in my hands, but I do have the contract of one of the YouTubers. Let's take a look at it. The licensee has creative freedom in developing content within the evolving universe. However, all content must comply with brand principles outlined in the digital asset package and style guide. The licensee is obligated to promptly fulfill any requests from the licensor for feedback regarding any licensee content, including editorial or creative feedback. The licensee has no right to sell, assign, or transfer their rights or delegate obligation under this agreement to another party without written consent from the licensor. Any unauthorized use of licensed content is invalid and considered a material breach of this agreement. The licensee must conduct themselves responsibly, maintain a positive public image, and refrain from any statement or participation in actions that could negatively affect the reputation of the licensor or Skibidi Toilets. The licensee must compensate and protect the licensor from any claims, obligations, expenses, and costs arising from any negligence by the licensee. Violations by the licensee of this agreement or content of Skibidi videos or licensed channel, other than licensed content, including reasonable fees and licensor restraints on lawyers. In short, roughly speaking, if you don't like the working conditions you're in, you have no right to publicly express your dissatisfaction, which, for example, we're seeing with Dave Fuke right now. Moreover, you also can't criticize the company itself, otherwise you'll get fined. I also really liked the point about licensed content. Well, yes, we all know how licensed G-Man and other characters from the series are. Getting back to conspiracy theories, what exactly happened? Let's start with the Russian mafia. Who are these people anyway? And why don't we know anything about them? What if these were some very dirty moves on the part of the Invis? No, I'm not asserting anything at all, but doesn't it seem strange to you that it's so interestingly coincidental that as soon as the contract was signed, this Russian mafia somehow mysteriously disappeared? Moving on, the PSD film. Why don't we know anything about it? You know, in 2015, rumors appeared about a FNAF movie. And despite how raw that product was at the time, we kept getting some insider info and photos from the set. And what do we have here? A teaser and words about how everything will be coming soon. Doesn't it seem to you that there's no movie at all? Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that practically all the earnings from the DF series were given to the Invis under the pretext of investments in this very film. Now let's return to our time, where company representatives openly mock our attempts to do anything and say that everything is fine, and Boom hasn't gone anywhere and is working with them. However, Boom himself apparently doesn't know about this. So it turns out that Invisible Narratives is none other than a group of scammers who use their name as well as their connections to profit from people like the fuck Boom through legal loopholes and their greater expertise with the goal of making money and literally milking the franchise. Invisible Narratives is a company that no one should ever do business with, let alone sign long-term contracts with. It's now thanks to Boom that we know about their schemes. And now imagine how many more potential creators might be signing contracts with them right now, not even suspecting what this will lead them to. What can we say in the end? I still consider Skibidi Toilet's a worthy series, and as a fan, it's very painful for me to watch everything that's happening to it now. The Invis actions look like some childish attempts to impersonate Devok and pretend everything is fine. However, with their actions, they're only killing the series, both from the viewer's perspective and from YouTube's algorithm perspective. Honestly, with each day, hope is fighting more and more that anything can be changed at all, since apparently nothing but money concerns the current owners. There's still a chance that over time, they'll see how their approach to running the channel has caused their views to drop, and then maybe they'll do something, but that's ideally. Maybe they'll just squeeze all the juice out of the series and dump it like such companies love to do. Is Skibidi Toilet dying? Definitely yes. Can we do something? The chance is small, but we can still try. Spread this and similar videos. Also write the hashtag #BringBoomBack everywhere you can. To all contacts of this ill-fated company, let's show that our fandom won't put up with all this chaos. The worst thing you can do right now is just sit there and stay silent. Together, we'll get through this. I think that's all for now. Subscribe to our Telegram and Boosty. All the necessary links are in the description. And remember, this isn't the end yet.